All right, people, welcome back to the CitizenBot show. This is episode number 5 for the 3 people who are actually watching. Thank you very much for your patronage as well. We will be opening up a Patreon soon, so you can support us there, hopefully. No, I'm just joking. Yeah, welcome back, everybody.
We're broke. We don't need any money, but we're broke.
We're technically okay, but we're broke. We're broke according to people who are on YouTube standards.
For YouTube standards, we're definitely broke.
We're definitely broke. We're definitely not there. Anyway, so today's episode is all more about AI. It seems like we've only been doing AI for the last couple of episodes, so we're going to continue that trend, and it's going to be AI-filled episode. But this time, things are going to get a little bit scary and a little bit more. It's gonna tingle that part of your brain that says, "I'm not ready for this," or "We are not ready for this." So just to get started off, I'm gonna share something. I'm gonna share my screen. I'm gonna share something that I found that was quite interesting online, which I never thought in a million years I would actually see. When I was a wee little laddie, I never thought I would actually see something like this in my life, but here we are in the age of modern social
Nothing
media.
surprises me right now, mate, in the world of internet. Nothing really surprises me.
All right, let's see if this actually makes it out. It's not doing anything. It's not doing anything. So I'm going to stop.
You need to start your Patreon first because your computer is just shit.
My computer is just dying.
When it comes to sharing.
My computer is just dying, bro. I'm just trying to share a tab, man. That's all I'm trying to do. There we go. All right. So this.
Do you want me to screen share the whole thing?
No, it's okay. I can. Let me share this, and then you can carry on from here. So this little young lady, her name is Mila Sofia. Okay, she's very attractive.
She's pretty,
as you can see. Okay, and
she got the right genetics.
She is 19 years of age. Okay, right there, 19 years of age. That is very important because the problem is she doesn't exist. She is as fake as a shark with a laser on its head. Okay, she's really fake.
Yeah.
She's fake as fake. And she was created by a company specifically for the express reason to actually make money as a virtual influencer. They're not even calling it like AI influencer anymore because I think there's a bit of a stigma there. But they're calling her virtual influencer. So what adding that virtual in front of the influencer means is like now there's going to be a whole world where people are going to have real influencers and they're going to have virtual influencers. Now, I don't want to click on this little link here because it's going to take us into an area of her. It's going to take us to an Instagram, which is littered. I really mean littered with people who are effectively just simping. They are just on their knees with their hands open and they're like, please give me something. Please, look at me. I'm here. I'm your simp and I will be here forever. From what I have also understood, or from what I've actually read about this virtual influencer, the company behind her charges brands who want to actually post anything onto her Instagram stories or Instagram, if they want to post from Instagram, they have to pay $10,000 per post. That is insane. That is Kim Kardashian levels of money. Okay?
Yeah.
And she was just launched about a year and a half ago. This is something brand new.
So she's on what? Like she's on a private website, or is it like
no,
Instagram?
Social media? She's on Instagram. She has an OnlyFans as well, which is, I don't know how that works. She has a Patreon, which we're gonna have soon too, hopefully. That's where all the brothers go. That's where all the people who need to make real money go. And she's basically on every single social media platform you can think of, where all the other social media influencers coalesce, where everybody goes there. Everybody goes. She
probably has a Threads account as well.
Probably. She definitely has a Threads account. Zaki ain't going to let it go. Zaki is like, I'll take it. I'll take the virtual influencers too. No worries, Mike,
Yeah.
So, it's And the one thing that
Insane.
she's okay, so just to like stop the weird shenanigans.
250,000 followers.
Sorry?
I'm absorbing this right now. Actually, it just kind of sunk in right now.
Yeah, it's sunk in
Like,
right
it
now.
didn't sink in when you showed it to me, but now it's sinking.
Yeah, it's sinking in.
This is ridiculous,
bro. It's not just 250. It's actually beyond that right now. If I click on her Instagram, should I click on her Instagram? I don't know, man. I'm kind of scared. Hang on. Let me just stop the share. Let me just stop the share and let me just click on it and let's see how bad it is.
How much? I mean,
oh, it's not too bad. Hang on.
Know that she's.
Let me.
Do people know that she is fake? Like she's AI generated?
Probably. I don't know. Really? So there you go. So that's her. Okay. But I think once the news got out that she's fake, people just she lost all her followings. So right now she but even for a fake person, 59,000 followers is not bad. Okay, if you really look at it.
Not bad at all, man.
Now I want to actually look at this. This photo, which is fake, has 1,129 likes comments. And 90 comments. This is just beyond insane. 1,807 likes, 109 comments, bro. We're in the wrong business, mate. You and me. We're doing this podcast. Definitely we're in the wrong business. We should just.
We're too late. Yeah.
We should just create. Late, I think. We should just create like our own AI chick and just put her online and just forget. Nobody will need to know our face. Nobody needs to know what we look like.
An AI hunk probably will probably not.
Actually, that's not a bad idea. We should probably make an AI male guy. Yeah. All the chicks who, bro. Okay. All things serious.
An AI male who identifies as a non-binary, right? And is trans this and trans that.
Exactly.
And is everything except a normal male. Anything but a male.
Right? Yeah, everything but a normal
male. I think would do well.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. But all seriousness, looking at this news and looking at this bit of information, it gave me... I paused for a second. I was terrified in the beginning. I was like, oh my God, this is really scary. That was like my gut visceral reaction. Like from here, I got that gut visceral reaction from there. But then I stopped and thought about it. I was like, oh, this is really genius, actually. This is very genius. This is like a bunch of people.
It is genius.
Who are technically savvy, okay, who understand technology, who understand how you can actually push technology past its limit, okay? Now, here's the thing. The best part is, these people who've built her, who've created this virtual model, all they need to do is just go back to, Stable Diffusion, which is the software that they're using for this, prompt another woman, create another model, okay?
Yeah.
And then upload a new, create a new Instagram profile and grow that for another year before it comes out that, oh, she wasn't real either. So they can just hop from one Instagram model to another with little to no downtime. In fact, I think they probably even anticipated that she's going to lose followers once it comes out that she's an AI model, and they probably already have another model ready and waiting to go. Okay. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. Because you got to understand, these guys are professionals. These guys are real professional people who understand how to get the most out of that AI software that they're working with, and they are good at what they're doing. It's a team. It's not one individual in his bedroom. It's a guy. It's a whole team of people who are prompting and who are just trying to get the most they can. They probably have really good computers and technology sitting behind all of this. If a single post can garner 10 grand, I would probably say they probably have an operation that's about $100,000 worth up and running. This is my rough, fake ass in the air estimate. Okay, it's about 100 grand probably. But the great idea is the really sad thing is that there are still people out there with all those comments that you saw, with the number of comments that people have left on those photos and the number of likes people have left. It just gives you an idea of there are people out there who don't understand, who already, we were talking about this whole, you and me, when we first started using Stable Diffusion and looking into it, we started talking to each other about, bro, how are people gonna know? How are people gonna, is it right for people to look at something that's virtual and like it without knowing that it was virtual? And I said to you,
In the future, you will have virtual superstars. You will have completely
bro, that's already
created,
happening, and I'll get
yeah,
into it. We have
yeah.
a
No, I
thing.
mean
I'll get.
superstars. I mean like no superstars. I don't mean like someone like Elvis coming back to life. I'm talking about
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like those that Japanese hologram kind of a,
Yeah, yeah, Hatsune.
kind of vision.
That lady, right? Hatsune Miku. The lady with the blue hair.
Yeah, you know, she's
She's
doing
like this
shows around the
disco
thing. Yeah,
show.
thing is, she's not as big as Tom Cruise though. She's not as big as like Taylor Swift. I'm talking about Taylor Swift level of like
I think okay. I think when we're saying
stardom.
this, to people, people don't realize how big Hatsune Miku is. She's like massive. She's huge. She is she's probably one of the most, like, you will not believe if I show you something right now. I'll share something right now, okay? And people will absolutely not believe what is actually happening in that sphere of the world.
Yeah, I'm sure she's on products. She's on products. Like she's a
She's
sponsor
everywhere.
for
She's everywhere.
a lot of products.
She
Yeah.
is everywhere.
Or being
Hang on.
sponsored by other products, I guess.
Oh yeah, she's everywhere. So here's a video, okay? Now I'm gonna count to 10. 10, 9, 8, 7. No, I'm kidding. So let's just click on this. So that is the fake influencer. Those people are real. You see the audience? Those people are actual people.
Yeah, yeah.
So she's dancing. It's a hologram. She's dancing. It's a real life concert that's happening. There's at least, but look at that. Every single two of those is one person. That has at least got to be,
Yeah.
bro. Can you say it's 100 at least? I would say that at least
more
is
than
100.
that.
These
More
are
than
people,
that.
okay?
Way more than
These are living, breathing human beings who have taken time out of their lives, paid for a ticket, traveled to the place to sit with other sweaty human beings in a corridor that is going to be completely blacked out, given these glow sticks, okay? Listening to what looks like an almost like teenager, under teen, I would say, looks like a very much under teen fake ass influencer dancing, and they know it's fake. These people willingly know, they know it is fake, but they're still engaging in this whole interaction. Now in Japan, yeah, weird things tend to happen, but bro, even for a weird thing, this is on a whole new level. When I saw this,
It is
not
on
this,
a whole level. To me,
not
it's
this
really
particular
weird.
thing, not this particular concert, but when I first saw when Hatsune Miku
There
first
are
came onto the
hundreds
scene,
of people. This is 1,000+ audience sitting there.
I don't, yeah, probably, I don't know.
There are. I mean, you can tell by looking at the crowd. That's a lot of people. I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's 1,000 or 100. The fact that there's a concert taking place and it's able to reap, revenue from it by having people over, it's a big deal.
Yeah, and she's singing in Chinese, by the way. She's not singing in Japanese. She's a Japanese influencer. So she was created by Sony, as part of Yamaha. No, she was created, I think, at Sony in conjunction with Yamaha. So her voice is a kind of, it's an AI program itself, basically. So people type in words and her voice actually vocalizes it. Again, you got to understand, there's a team of people behind her. There's a team of people who are like at a very high level, that they understand the software and the processes and the technicality and the technical stuff that goes into her, like a real Miku, okay? Like not real, sorry, her virtual presence. So she's at a Genshin Impact concert, which is a Chinese company's game. So she's singing in Chinese, okay? But I don't know if it's Japanese people in the audience or Chinese people in the audience. Either way, those people physically went to a location to actually be with other people and be in a concert. So it's a huge thing. So now taking that, when I first saw this thing happen about a decade ago, I lost my mind. I was like, this is impossible. How can people know that this is fake and still attend a physical concert and go dance with, like, this woman and all this stuff? Now we're getting into that whole Mila Sofia thing where it's like people don't even know it's fake. They're commenting on it. They're liking it. They're saying, yes, I want you, baby, and all these like weird, horrible things that, you would, thirsty men and teenagers would say to women, basically. So, like I said, when I was thinking, I was like, these people are really smart. They understand the technology. They understand that there's going to be a huge sliver of the population that does not understand the difference between fake or real, because all Instagram influencers might as well be fake. So what happened if there's another fake Instagram model? Who cares? But yeah, it's exciting, and it's it's, like you said, we're on the edge of terrifying and exciting at the same time. That's what
Yeah,
this
it is
is.
terrifying and exciting at the same time. Yeah.
It's
I mean, it's insane.
bro,
'cause
your children and
if
my
you got a
children.
bunch of people.
Sorry, I mean, I'm gonna say
Yeah,
that
yeah.
your children, my children, your grandchildren, or my grandchildren could willingly, knowing that it is a fake influencer, knowing that this woman is fake, they could willingly just enter into a kind of parasocial weird ass relationship with her. Similar to what happens between the Ryan Gosling character and the Anna de Armas character in Blade Runner 2040, the new Blade Runner. He knows she's fake, but he still behaves with
Or
her
like
and talks
her.
to her. Huh?
The
Or like
Joaquin
her,
Phoenix,
exactly. But in her, I would say her is a bit more complex, because in her they're having conversations with the AI, and the AI is so good at having conversations. It and it becomes sentient at the end. Spoiler, by the way, it becomes like sentient, and it like it goes somewhere else and all that crap. But that's the only part I didn't like about her, because I think they explored the wrong direction of AI rather than exploring what the human direction of AI should
Well,
be.
I think at that time they did not have the a more concrete idea. Even now, people don't have an idea.
No,
what's gonna
nobody has
happen
any
with this
idea.
tech.
Don't get.
But back
We don't
then
have
they
an
had
idea.
no idea at all. So I think they were just trying to guess.
Mm.
But I think that if you look at there's a bunch of people working behind a given AI celebrity or an AI product. The industry doesn't really care. I mean, that's why they're having all these writer strikes and
Yeah.
actors.
Although
strike
I have a
Hollywood at
different
the
take on
moment.
the writer strike situation now. I have a slightly different take. I read something recently, and I watched a couple of videos about what happened between the writer strike and what happened between the Screen Actors Guild strike, right? And why the Screen
What
Actors
happened?
Guild started striking. There's a bit, and I understand. I have a little bit of a different view on what is actually being, what is really being trying to be communicated. What is actually being trying to be communicated with Hollywood celebrities and with Hollywood elites, and with studios and all that kind of stuff. What is really being tried to be negotiated? I think
What is
we,
it?
we can. In my opinion now, my current opinion that I'm holding is what the writers are negotiating and what the actors are negotiating are two completely separate things. Okay, and most likely the actors will get what they want, but the writers are probably not going to get what they want. The actors are not negotiating to remove AI from the space of Hollywood. Okay, it seems like that. It's made to appear to everybody like that, but I think what they're actually negotiating for is long-term rights to their likeness. Like, if, for example, in the future you want to use Tom Cruise's likeness in a movie, yeah, you want to use Tom Cruise's voice and the voice part is also very important, because voice actors are also a huge part of the equation. If you want to use Tom Cruise's voice in a celebrity, in a animation that is filled with like celebrity voice casts, right? The people who come after Tom Cruise, his progeny, they need to have full and final control over what these Hollywood studios can and cannot do with Tom Cruise's likeness, whether it is voice or whether it is his face or his body, whatever it is. There is a there's a company. I forgot what the name of the company was, but this company they have rights to a lot of people's likenesses. Okay, but those people are inconsequential. They're prominent. They're prominent people, but they're inconsequential in terms of acting and all that kind of stuff. For example, you have Amelia Earhart. Okay, her family. Amelia Earhart
Right.
apparently had a ton of photos. She had lots and lots and lots of photos. She had recordings of her voice. Okay. You have Rosa Parks, the person who, had, I think she's like part of the civil rights movement or something like that, along those lines. She's the woman on the bus, I think, for those of
Yeah.
you who don't know. So she apparently also had a lot of photos. She had like a lot of news clippings, a lot of news interviews. So her estate, her family, they've been approached by this company to say, okay, look, we're gonna create a digital analog of Rosa Parks, and we're gonna keep her as a licensing. We're gonna keep her as part of our repertoire of like actors and repertoire of like historical figures that we can use, and then you will have licensing rights for it. So these rights have already been negotiated by this company. Now those companies are out there telling Hollywood and telling any other, like, if you want to create any kind of content based on Rosa Parks or whatever, you want to use the likeness, they have it. You just need to approach them and say, yep, give it to us, and then you pay the licensing fee. I think that is what is actually being negotiated in Hollywood right now. Rather than
Right.
get AI out of our job, get AI out of Hollywood. And what's happening
Makes
is
sense.
there's all these movies that the studios have already made with those actors and actresses, and the studios have the rights to those movies. So the studios can do anything they want because the actors didn't have a contract. In the contract of the actors, it didn't say that they could not use their likenesses for other things. So
Right.
that's where the I think the problem is actually happening. Again, that's something that, again, so it just came out
Yeah.
of nowhere.
So I think if I think about it, at the end of the day, right, all these celebrities, they are disposable, and let's just accept it. It's their products, that people consume, or services. A concert is a service / product, and something that you consume through a movie or a still image. To me, they're just products, right? So they both are kind of overlap between each other. And they swing from one to the other, right? So when you have an AI virtual star performing for a live audience, it turns into a kind of a service. Whereas if it's somewhere, you're streaming that person or you're consuming them through Instagram or something like that, then they're basically a product. And they help sell other products, and people who are behind the scenes working on them, they are creating a whole income out of it. And I think the studios or AI engineers, whatnot, whatever, that whole blend of people at the back will evolve and change over time. But I think the studios, the music producers, all these companies that live off selling, working in the showbiz, or businesses like these ones where they're independent, they're doing it through Insta or social media, they will continue as long as there is consumption for it, right? So you before the call, you're telling me about the whole James Dean thing. So maybe
And I'll go into the
let's
James
talk
Dean thing
about
a bit
that a
as
bit.
well.
Yeah.
We'll go into
I
it a bit
mean,
later. Yeah. Doesn't have to be now
So I think
immediately.
that I think if we look into it, the time is not far off. Like it's already started, but just not super mainstream at the moment. In sense that certain pockets, a certain set of demographic is into that, which this whole Sophia lady kind of proves. But it's only a few thousand. It's not in millions. I think it'll become a big thing once you enter an era where there's like million plus followers on Instagram for an AI generated character. So your benchmark would be a real human being, right, producing content versus someone who has an army of like 30, 40 people behind,
Yeah. And
behind that AI photo.
to drive home the point, I mean, we've been playing with Stable Diffusion for about 2.5, 3 weeks now. I think 2 weeks right now. Okay. And I'll share a photo that and I showed you this photo already, but this is like the photo that I finished in Stable Diffusion. That princess thing that I showed you. So let me just share this photo so that people have an idea of what is possible by one guy over a weekend trying to, while learning the software, I'm not even like an expert. I was just learning the software. I was just trying to figure and feel my way through it. But when you finally get like your process in order and you understand how things go from A to Z and you apply that process, this is what actually ends up happening. This is me
Right.
in a weekend. Okay.
Wow.
One guy in a weekend trying to push the boundary of whatever I've learned from the community that that this is a part of. So the Stable Diffusion community. And there is just an insane amount of work that, there's an insane amount of detail that can be actually generated with the AI software. Now, arguably, this is a lot more airbrushed. You can already see that this is like more artistic rather than realistic, which is exactly the look that I was going for. But like in the case of Sophia, and I can zoom in pretty far in here, and you can see
Like
that
the
there's
soldiers
a
even
fair
have
bit of
the
detail.
arm patch and
Yeah,
very
the
good
arm
detail.
patch. It's got like the arm patches and everything. But the problem with the AI is that AI still kind of is been trained on certain things. So like over here, it's got the US flag, which is a bit bizarre. Because this is not US. I was explicitly trying to train it on like a Japanese cyberpunk aesthetic, and it still came up with like a US soldier over there for some reason. So anyway, if you look at this whole thing, like there's a fair bit of detail. Look at the hair. Look at how the AI is actually just generating the hair. It knows that when it slumps on the shoulder, that's how it's supposed to look like, and it is just insanely. This is just what, how many, like 2 years or 3 years of like just training this model, maybe somewhere
2 to
by
3
someone.
years, yeah.
Just a couple of years, and imagine like in the next couple of years, like look at this woman right here. It's amazing, and
Right.
this is just me, sitting in my study on the weekend, drinking a coffee, trying to understand how this whole thing works, and this is what I
Running
can come
some
up
prompts.
with. Running a whole bunch of prompts. I mean, arguably, it's a lot more complicated. And here's the thing: if you guys wanna, if somebody's interested in watching this entire thing, we can probably do like a long form video somewhere where we take them through the process of like how this was made. Because now I actually understand the process. But imagine a whole team now prompting, coming up with images, like a whole bunch of images. They have access to like the latest technology. They have access to like all the beefiest graphics cards ever. And they're coming up with like all this Mila Sophia stuff, that they can just pump out online and make money.
Yeah, but the other issue is this, that with AI you can now generate events that never happened.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
you
and if
can
the
generate
news,
photographs of
if the
things
news
that never
picks it
happened,
up,
and the news can start. Yeah, and if the news picks it up,
That's
your
it.
fake news starts turning into real news.
Yeah. We're entering that territory, people. We're already there. We're actually already there. Once
it just get easier to actually lie.
it'll
through
become
news, yeah.
it'll become
Already they
easier
lie
to
to us, but they can do it better now.
Yeah, they can just lie and get away with it better easily now. That's what they can do now. So what's the next
they
on
can
the
always
agenda?
say, well, our source gave us this photograph, and
It's like, our source gave
I
us
think
info.
the other one is you know, are you aware of this whole thing about the scientific papers that get published in journals and stuff?
Yeah.
So there are medical journals, there are scientific journals, there are academic journals where I guess there are all kinds of fields in in academia, and all different papers get published by different establishments from around the world. So I just came across this news article where I think it was a Mark Zuckerberg backed. I think Meta was the one. Meta AI or some initiative from Meta.
Yeah, Meta has an AI thing in there as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So Meta had an initiative where they actually trained a model, a ChatGPT style model, on all the scientific papers from the community, and then they opened it up for for people to use it, and it only ran for 2 days, and it had about 48 million
2 days
papers pumped into it. Only 2 days, because what happened is people started asking all kinds of questions and it started going into dangerous territory, right? Start telling the truth, because you can't control it, because it's all based on what is there. So it may be, someone might have gone in there and said, is butter bad for you? And it would say, no, butter is not bad for you. In fact, it's good for you. Eggs are good for you. Steaks are good for you.
And then they're like,
Carbs
oh,
are
hang
bad
on a
for
second, you can't
Maybe
give out
start
dietary
telling the
advice.
opposite of what is in the food pyramid. For example, they recommend that you eat a healthy diet of carbs, grains, legumes, all that stuff, and stay away from butter, stay away from olive oil, and don't eat too much meat. It gives you heart disease. Now you got 48 million papers. ChatGPT has been through that. Someone asked that question, what's the ideal healthy diet, and it's giving you the opposite recommendation as to what doctors would give, right? Or what the
Medical
so-called
community would give you.
the medical community, or the established food and drug administration, those kind of authorities, right?
Yeah.
And God forbid you ask it even questions that are deeply rooted in the scientific community about cancer and AIDS, or any of those or about about COVID, for example. You could ask a question about that, and I'm sure it'll give you an opinion that that we are not supposed to talk about, that people will be encouraged not to talk about or not discuss, because it ruffles the wrong kind of feathers. So AI does pose a risk, but the risk is two-way. It can also pose a risk to the person who's using it, and it also can pose a risk to the people who are people who are producing that content for a certain. Think about it. Anybody creates these services, ChatGPT or any kind of GPT model, large language model, or anything that are AI backed or AI used. The purpose is to generate revenue, to make money. If you're going to release something that the government is not going to be happy with, or the authorities are not going to be happy with in an authoritarian country, it's not going to work now, is it?
Just like Mila Sophia.
We'll put the links in we'll put the link about from where I read it into the chat, so people can read deeper about the event that happened.
But I think okay, so I think AI is kind of like the internet, right? I think AI is kind of like the way the internet was. So when it first started, people were just playing with the internet. They were trying to send messages to each other, short form messages, right? They were trying to send, Oscar Charlie, all okay, because it was military. So it was just sending little packets of data between different military servers, different military endpoints. Once it opened up completely, what did people do? People just had email. People just did simple things just have a website of stuff.
Internet was the Wild West.
Yeah, internet was the Wild West back then.
AI is the Wild West.
Yeah, now AI is the Wild West, exactly. So what happened is once people figured out how to use internet properly, with the advent of YouTube and social media and all this, other stuff, that people just couldn't imagine. Imagine asking the creator of the internet, is he alive? I don't even know if he's alive. But if somebody asked the creator of the internet, did you ever think, is he alive? He's alive, okay. Did you ever think that the internet was going to be used in such a manner? He would tell you no. He couldn't have imagined that the internet could be used in this way. He would say that the most they were trying to do was just send a message from point A to point B much faster and much more reliably than back in the day when you had to pick out that the big ass the Wall Street phone and just talk to people and make it really obvious that you're talking to somebody. Yeah, it's funny. Right. I'm just interested to see what will happen with AI. I'm just really I hope at least we get to live to the point where we see end game AI, end stage of the AI. What is that stage? What is that final stage? Is it going to be? I don't know. It's
well, talking about end stage of AI. Good. These kind of technologies, they don't have an end stage. They don't have that. They're not mechanics.
Yeah.
It's if you think about gravity, for example, it doesn't have an end stage. It's a discovery of something that already exists, right? So in a way, AI is not something that we invented. It already existed. People thought about that idea, before they had the technology, if you think about it, right? They said, okay, if we use technology in this manner, it will give us artificial general intelligence,
Yeah, okay.
right?
Yeah, I can see your
So
point.
what you're doing is you're mimicking the human mind. Now, human mind,
Basically, yeah.
it's
Yeah.
limitless. It's limitless. So you can, because you already got the blueprint. The blueprint is the human mind, and now you're trying to map it. You're trying to get it to think that way, incorporate logic that it mimics how intelligence works. So thanks to people like Carl Jung, Sigmund Freud, and all these people who basically have and obviously there's a lot of other philosophers and gurus and different. There's a religious angle to it as well, who've thought about consciousness. Right. So now people, what they're trying to do is nothing but replicate consciousness. Right.
I
So
don't
that's
think
where
they're
they
trying
talk
to
about,
replicate consciousness yet.
sentient.
I think
They're
right
trying
now
to
they're
replicate money, that's for sure.
right now, now.
Revenue, baby, the profits. Yeah, that's what they're trying to do. Yeah, that's what they're trying to do. But thing is that eventually this will start slowing down.
Yeah.
If you look at Hotmail when it came out, the MSN Messenger, there's a lot of dough in it, but there's not much money in it now. It's drying up, right?
Yeah, because people started realizing that they're being advertised to. That's
providing cloud space to people is not. It's good money, but it's not the end game. Cloud space. Now it's all about compute space. Tomorrow if you build a smart home, your smart home probably will have 100 plus semiconductors inside it that are all collecting data and processing it.
And there'll be
Your
like an
fridge
edge compute
is gonna
unit
be,
sitting somewhere inside your house,
Yeah,
that'll talk
or
to
it's
servers
being
somewhere.
offloaded to the cloud.
No.
Or it's all being outsourced to the cloud.
No, I understand that. But the thing is, you will always need some kind of an edge computing unit. Edge computing meaning that the computation happens locally for whatever data is being sent. And then that computation happens locally. And then the computed data is sent to the cloud. If it needs more data from somewhere. But like on a moment by moment basis, the computer needs to make a decision, right? So there's like a smaller, like with the bus, with the bus that was like going and flying.
Or like Alexa.
But no, Alexa connects to the
Does
cloud.
Alexa and Siri? Yeah, but doesn't Siri work without internet? Or does it need the internet service?
I think it does need an internet
Alexa,
service.
I think they can do certain tasks like setting up an alarm.
Simple
or
tasks. Simple tasks, yes.
The internet.
But remember that video we had a couple of episodes ago where the bus was going down the road. It was taking photos of all the different number plates.
Yeah.
So edge computing is basically there's a computation unit that sits in the bus whose job it is to just look at the number plate, look at the road, identify number plates. That is the job of the edge compute unit. So it's doing this much work. And then what it does is once it has the number plate, it sends it to the cloud, to a local server, to a server somewhere, which identifies the number plate, links it up to whoever is the driver of that car, gets into the finding system and then finds them. So that's a separate system. The edge compute unit, which is sitting locally, all it does is just looks at the road, identifies a car and identifies the number plate and takes a photo. And tells the camera to take a photo. Actually, it doesn't take a photo itself. It just identifies the camera to take a photo and then takes the photo, sends it over into the cloud. Sorry, not trying to make it like a technical show, but that's what happens with it. That's what edge computing is, and that's what will happen in most smart homes. You will have an edge compute unit that will sit in your house. It'll be like in a mandatory space, and then whatever other stuff.
So like in the future when you get your home constructed, you'll have to think about all the wiring that has to go through it. The builder will probably hook you up with someone who can install an edge compute system into your house. And basically smart homes.
And you'll have like an AI in your house.
Put devices around the house.
Yeah, you'll have like an AI in your home. It'll be like your home AI or something like that. Home assistant, something like that. That'll actually just take care of all these different aspects of your life for you. You remember that Black Mirror episode where this lady wakes up and her toast is already done, and her room is at the perfect temperature, and the shades open in the perfect way, the right kind of music plays, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
I've heard about Black Mirror, but I haven't seen that episode.
There's an episode.
It reminds me of this whole Ferris Bueller thing where
Ferris Bueller
those movies in the 80s and 90s and those cartoons in the 80s and 90s where the guy would just wake up in the morning, the alarm goes off, and the alarm would trigger this domino effect where there'll be all this
Or it'll be like that machine, right? They'll be like the right machine. I forgot what the machine.
Homemade engineering that will actually trigger things.
There's
the
a
way
word
to
for
the
that
kitchen.
machine. I don't know what the word for that machine
and
is.
there's a toaster. No, it's not a machine. It's like a funny way of showing that this guy's
I know.
automated his entire life.
Yeah,
He's
but
so
but that whole thing, right? That somebody actually makes their entire, or they automate their whole morning routine with like all these different bits and bobs of like mechanical stuff. The whole word for
the
it,
toaster
there's a machine.
goes off and the plate is there.
Yeah. It's called it. It's the technical term. It's a word. It's called something machine. I forgot what it is, but I need to find out. But yeah, that kind of stuff. Your home AI will actually try to do that for you. So be like, oh, do you have a toaster? Okay, hook it up to the home AI's UI, home AI's Wi-Fi or whatever it is. So when you go buy toasters now, they'll be like, oh, now they're compatible with these home AIs. You know what I mean? If you have this home AI system, your toaster will be compatible with that, or blah blah blah. It's gonna get much more crazier now. And look, certain aspects of it are great, but I'm always worried about the whole data aspect of it. Like, what are they doing with my data? What are they doing? Knowing that I wake
what
up.
they're doing with your data.
What?
I'll tell you, they're gonna take all your data and make money from it. That's what they're gonna
Exactly.
do. They're gonna hinge on your privacy. They take all your data and work off that. Yeah, use customer data, and just go all the way to Kansas with it.
And they're gonna send the data that it says, okay, this Sohaib wakes up in the morning, and his frying pan identifies that he's cooking beef rashers, which he's not supposed to have because he's already too fat. So the doctor will get a note, and then the doctor's office's AI will send a note.
Carbon footprint. Yeah, you're increasing too much of your carbon footprint.
The doctor's AI.
So what you're going to do is going to get into your digital wallet and and tax you
take money out.
Take money out of your and that'll not be taxes. That'll be a separate category.
Carbon footprint.
Pay your tax. And on top of that, there's going to be all these other
carbon penalty
bits of charges that are going to all these penalties and helping the world, saving the oceans, and the whales and the bees and the trees,
make it a better place.
That's what's going to happen. Yeah, that's right.
The more you play that song, the
more
credit score goes up. Yeah.
To make things a bit more exciting, I think I'm going to screen share. Might check this out.
Yeah. I think I'm all for this next section you're about to show.
This one here.
Oh my god, yeah, this is interesting.
This is a coffee shop. Okay. They're making coffee on the right hand side and serving it. Mm-hmm. Right? And it's tracking the peoples who are working there. On the left hand side, I'm guessing for how long those customers have been waiting.
Yeah.
All right, or for how long those customers been sitting there. Yeah, it's even counting. Like for Vika, it's actually counting how many cups she served. It goes from 10 to 11.
Yeah,
once she serves it. So this is the next generation tech to work out performance management. Right. So I follow this guy Linus Eckenston, and he basically puts lots of stuff in there. And even Lucas Benzel, I mean, I follow him on Twitter as well. So I highly recommend you follow these guys.
Yeah, I'll follow these guys, man.
The AI gardener and designer, I mean, he posts some really crazy stuff that has been happening in the world of AI. And I mean, dude, think about it. Like, there's all these photographs that people like. This one here, check this one out. Check this out. This is container management. This is like basically supply chain management,
shipping logistics
management. Look at that. You can see diggers, you can see containers.
Look at how, I'm just surprised how far up the camera can go. Is that a drone or is that satellite?
All that. It's drones. Looks like drones to me.
No, bro, it's satellite.
It's not satellite. It's drone.
No, it's satellite. It's not. No,
it's different. They're testing all this tech. I mean, at the moment, it's an experimental phase in the sense that some companies are working with them to. The place where AI and
is that looking at the number of beachgoers?
Yeah. So for shark attacks or whatever, I mean, look at this. It's identifying things. I think this model here is built on the idea of identifying things, and it could be used in business. It could be used in logistics. It could be used in anything, right? So this is just experimental tech at the moment, where if a business wants to get involved and do something tailor made or custom made for their business, they could do it. I mean, for emergency services, you could
Emergency
use this,
services,
you know.
yeah.
Yeah, for to preempt fire, you got your prediction already, but at the same time you got detection technology like this one here. So this is drone. This is definitely a drone.
No, this is the
flying
drones. Yeah, you're right.
and doing all that. Yeah, and so people have put all these things in the comment that I was looking at, and it's basically just employee management. I mean, check this out, Mike. This is your local, I think, Macca's or whatever. Look at that. This is an advertisement. Mass detection.
Deploy mass
making sure
detectors
that,
to any
someone's
camera.
made- Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Look at that. Computer vision is now a reality. Look at that.
Whew.
So I think that's Macca's to me. Yeah. There you
Cool.
go. So I think,
Naam checker.
yeah, bro.
Kuch.
Performance management is gonna get a whole different new name. There's a whole different kind of data analytics. There's a whole different kind of business unit that's going to be created in performance management. Gone are the days of HR trying to deal with things in that manner. So anybody who's studying HR right now, get into AI, because that is what's going to happen. You will be using AI.
That's just
more
general
to
information. That's just
performance
general.
manage people.
That's just general. What do you call it, advice? Anybody doing anything in any area of any part of any profession, get into AI at some level. Get into AI at some level. And you know what? Just to kind of move forward on this a little bit, Vanderbilt University, which is a university, I think it's in Texas or something. I can't remember where exactly.
Yeah.
But most universities are banning AI on campus, right? You can't use GPT, can't use any kind of AI stuff. But Vanderbilt is saying, no, we're going to train every single faculty member, and we're going to train, we're going to train every single faculty member to use ChatGPT, and that training that is given to every single faculty member is also open to all students. So if you are a student at Vanderbilt University, you can learn it. And the best part is, they now partnered with Coursera. So Coursera has that course as well. So if you're really into ChatGPT and you want to understand how AI is gonna help you, I guess, they have a course on Coursera.
I think they've opened up GPT for GPT. They've opened it up and they posted it on GitHub.
That's different. That's different.
Open source model of GPT.
Yeah. So you can that's like GPT-1, but this is so you can download GPT now to your local computer and have it running locally, and you can train your own models onto that GPT, and you can, I don't know, you can use it for your own personal thing, I guess. But this Vanderbilt University course is actually, I think, something that many people will actually have they will draw some kind of benefit from. This is also the very first actual full-blown course I have seen from a university, basically, because every other course is you just go onto YouTube and follow a couple of people who are making YouTube videos on how to do certain things in GPT. But this is a proper structured course. So I'm actually quite interested. I'm actually looking forward to joining this course and trying to go through it to see what it's all about. But again, what Omar says is get on that AI, people. Whatever you're doing, get on that AI, because if you are
people not able to understand that even if you're a chef, you need to look a little bit into what's happening in AI.
Yeah, of course.
That's how far the reach and expanse of the incorporation of AI will be in things. I mean, if you think about at the moment, what was creepy to me was that there is performance management happening.
Yeah.
Okay, already. But it was not that invasive. It is invasive.
It is invasive.
At the moment,
Fairly
you work
invasive.
in retail, they have cameras anyway. So I used to work in retail, and in retail, they'll have cameras to monitor you, and they say it's for safety. And in reality, the boss will be sitting in the back, and they'll be watching you, whether you're standing doing nothing or are you there was just that. I mean, the boss
Big
can
Brother is
actually
watching
stand
situation
on the floor. Yeah. The boss can actually stand in retail and manage you and see you there as well. So in reality, it's just that what the creepy aspect is that now the boss is sitting in the back somewhere in the back office and watching you through a monitor, which kind of creates that kind of behavior, that culture of monitoring, that over the shoulder kind of a lens.
Micromanagement.
It brings that
I
kind
think
of a thought process to it.
That is the point, micromanagement.
And I remember what he would do was once I saw him actually period, like this is like, a long time ago, and I walked into the back office and I saw him. He was sitting and looking through the monitor. That what he did is it's a different site. He's looking through the video, the monitor, looking at a video of that someone is sitting there in the back office and they're not in the front or whatever, they're not on the floor. And what he did is he picked up the phone and he called the manager and he said, like, what are you doing? What is that guy doing? Why that guy sitting in the back? Why is he sitting in the back? Get him to work. Stuff like that. So like, that whole performance management kind of a thing, that really performance management, or is performance management nothing but a term that basically just kind of smooths out, and tries to give this kind of behavior a very soft kind of perspective on it.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It's a very soft term.
That's not performance management.
Performance management is nothing but a nice English term for like looking over the shoulder. That's what
it's talking
and now
your
what's
worker,
happened is that
basically.
AI, it's just talking your worker. That's what performance management is. And there are other people who might say, no, it's not that, it's not this. In reality, what you're doing is that you're paying someone and they're not giving you what they want for your money, right? In terms of a transaction, a business transaction, and now what you decide to do is performance management. And government has a lot to do with that, because in Australia and a lot of countries, there are rules, there's regulation, there are rights, worker rights, and because of that, they have to go through the whole process of performance managing. And in that sense, I think that now AI is there. There's data being collected on you, and they can literally see how many coffees you are making. And within that, the focus is lost on your customer service ability. What if someone comes in and they only want to make coffee with you? They only want you to make their coffee. What if someone comes in and only buy coffee because you're the one who's standing at the till and saying, how was your day? And you're having that small chat while someone else is making that coffee, right? So that nuance will be completely missed out.
Yeah.
So, and I think that is why you still need humans at the driving wheel to figure out, okay, where they use that in terms of, but when people become lazy, thing with AI is that someone else, I think, said it, I can't remember who, I read it, it was some podcast I was listening to, but I keep echoing that same sentiment, is that what AI will do is, it will encourage bad behavior and it will encourage good behavior, or bad habits and good habits. Good habits, people who have good habits, they'll just get stronger with AI. People who have bad habits, they will just continue. It'll make it even more harder to get out of that bad behavior because now you have AI, right? So I do not want to go down that rabbit hole at the moment, but if you think about it, it makes complete sense that how AI is going to increase bad behavior. It's going to increase bad habits. If you're a lazy person who doesn't want to do anything, now with AI, you'll not do anything even further. It'll just cement that even further for you. But if you're someone who's a bit of a future forward thinking kind of person, futurist kind of attitude, someone who believes in, doing,
executing on an idea,
things and visualizing things and executing things, visualizing things into the future, in your near future, you'll be able to do that using AI. And it's just a tool like any other, but it's definitely uncharted waters. Nobody knows what's going on. And if someone says to you that, they know what's going to happen, they're basically bullshitting you. On that
but
note,
they have to, right? I think that is, sorry.
Yeah, go for it.
No, I was going to say that they have to, because they are the leader, right? So they are the people who are leading your organization or your team or whatever it is. So they have to have that air of, I know what's happening, everything is fine, like the Joker says in Batman, right? Like, like if like, I have a news article saying that, one tiny mayor is gonna die, then everybody loses their mind. That's the thing. It's like, because the mayor, he's just one guy. If you really think about it, the mayor is just one guy, but because he's a mayor, because he's in this big giant position of power, and people put so much emphasis onto that position of power, if he dies, people lose their mind. Like, that's when I heard that dialogue being said by Heath Ledger, like the late Heath Ledger, God have mercy on his soul, when I saw him say that dialogue in that Joker makeup, and he's dressed like a nurse, and it's like a really weird scene, like, if you really think about it. When I saw him give that, I was like, there's this saying in there's a very powerful, I think, philosophical saying which says that, it is no measure of health to be healthy in a profoundly sick society. Okay, and that actually it came to me. That actually came to me. Okay, in this whole society that Batman is trying to protect, it seems like Joker is kind of the most sane human being in that society. you know.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. It's like people just lose their minds. Like, so that's why the leaders have to like put this air on about, okay, oh yeah, it's all going to be fine. We know what we're doing. When in fact they don't know anything with it. They themselves don't know anything what they're doing. They're just about as clueless as the people that they're trying to lead. They're just putting on a brave face so that shit doesn't go out of control.
if you talk about it, I think that is where society will become. The elite is going to be there. The hierarchy of human
That's always going to be
which
there.
we live, it's going to be there. But I think certain departments, certain areas will be completely automated. Certain leadership will be also automated.
Yeah.
I mean, if you had, let's say, the local council and the department in that local council for waste management, for that whole thing will be automated.
Yeah.
I mean,
You
there
mean
will
like a
be
sub
AI
department,
actually doing all
basically.
that. Yeah, a sub department will be completely automated.
Yeah.
HR is, in a way, a lot of it is automated. A lot of the
It all comes
part
out of the code
chain.
of conduct, right? The HR stuff. So yeah.
Yeah. So if you put your code of conduct there, you set the rules of engagement, you set the regulation in, you set the terms and conditions. That's it. You
But
have
that's
an
like
AI
if you're
that will
going
just
full
execute
cold.
on that.
That's like if you're going full cold-hearted, like no human beings kind of situation. What's going to happen, I think, really personally, is going to be there's going to be one or two human beings in an HR department, and everything else is going to be automated. So the human being is going to come in. They're going to be like at the very top level. They're going to be brought in when
dependency on AI will be more than dependency on humans. Though.
Yeah.
That's what most people are not understanding.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
like, in the future it'll be humans who understand AI, okay, versus humans who do not use AI. True, but that human is 100% human, and they're doing a job that is 100% human oriented. Now you have someone where you're sharing your responsibility 50% with AI. So you have to learn how to use that tool.
Yeah.
Now you're high dependent on that tool, and tomorrow if that tool comes down, you're done because But the likelihood of it happening,
I would say is 90. I would say the likelihood of that happening is probably about 2% or 3% when the AI tool will just drop.
Yeah, the failure rate is very, very low because it's cheap. Semiconductors are cheap.
It will become
compute
cheaper.
Power will only get cheaper. Yeah, compute power will get cheaper. So ultimately, what's going on is that now AI plays a huge role in society, where in itself is the third sector. You got the humans, you got the AI.
I think they're calling it the fifth industrial revolution. That's what they're calling it now.
Yeah, I mean, the weird part is this: when they talked about the fifth industrial revolution, it wasn't AI. It was actually data. It was sensors and data, IoT, Internet of Technology. That's what they said back.
No, I think that's. Oh yeah, you're right. That's what they said. So this will be the
there'll
sixth
all
industrial
data
revolution.
oriented. Everything will be sensors. Yeah. So now it's it's all, they make good books.
They write
all these topics. They make good titles. Great books, right? Yeah. They make amazing titles, and if you want to climb to your top 10, top 20, Amazon bestseller list, this is the way to go about it. The fourth turning, in the future, the great reset. In the future, you will own nothing and be happy.
That was
Klaus
actually
Schwab,
fantastic. The great reset. Whoever came up with that, bro, that guy, that definitely
Klaus Schwab. That guy, Klaus Schwab, he came in, the World Economic Forum leader.
Yeah. No, but Klaus Schwab, he himself didn't come up with it. I'm guessing somebody else on his team came up
he's the
with
main
the word.
sponsor of World Economic. No, he actually said it. He echoed that same sentiment. I mean, ultimately, he's the one who's carrying that set of values,
principles.
Right? And he's now echoing it. Yeah, he's going around and telling people that in the future, that's how things are going to be. We'll live off the grid. We'll have renewable energy, 100%. We will eat bugs. We will
own
eat
nothing, and we'll be happy.
Recycled, cockroach powder on top of your soy latte or whatever. And you live in shoe boxes. You live in pods. And the environment, and even even the more dystopia, utopia scenario is as what Jeff Bezos said. I think he didn't really mean it. But
I heard a
the way
new
he
word
said
nowadays, It's called dysutopia. Okay. So it's a utopia for
Yeah.
somebody else, but it's a dystopia for you. It's a dysutopia.
Yeah. Well, everybody's someone's yeah, of course, mate. That's like the age-old saying, right? Someone else's half glass full.
Yeah. One
glass
man's trash
empty
is
or
another man's gold. That
poison.
whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah. One man is poison. To other one, it's elixir, right?
It's manna from heaven. Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, what Jeff Bezos was saying was that we will stay off the planet and we'll only visit Earth to enjoy it. So it'll be this like ball
holiday
that's hanging
destination
in the middle of the universe. Yeah, it's going to be a holiday destination. So I'm not sure whether he meant it when he said it. I mean, obviously, maybe he did mean it. I'm not sure, man. It was such a weird thing that he just said. It's like, what? Like, we're going to live off planet and just visit it? Like, how is that going to happen?
What's he smoking, bro? Seriously. Just calm down.
Or no, I think the problem is that everybody was on a high in COVID. Or just post-COVID, people were suffering from that post-COVID kind of
high, I know.
mental lockdown. Everybody was in lockdown. Because you have to understand, right? They were people, their power comes from influencing other people. The elites,
I know.
influencers, the social media elites, right? And when they get locked up,
it does things
they're
to
not
them.
able to step out. Yeah, it did things to them.
You saw that whole
these
that whole
industrialists,
Gal Gadot tweeted, imagine there's no heaven. Like people's parents are dying and shit, and they're like, and then you're like,
cringe,
God,
man.
come on, man.
Cringe, super cringe. That video I saw.
What are you guys doing?
It, like,
And then Madonna is
But the
like
question
losing her
was that
mind.
I saw
She's
that
got-
thing on Joe Rogan or whatever.
No, I saw
I
that.
think
I
I've
saw
seen
that
it on Joe
separately,
Rogan.
and then I saw Joe Rogan's comment on it later. But when I saw it separately, I'm like, are you
I
serious?
found out about it on Joe Rogan's podcast. Yeah.
And
But,
then
I mean,
they
think
had those
about it,
videos
bro.
of Madonna like in her bathtub, like the camera is like pointed at her bathtub. She's sitting in like this milk bath with like rose petals in it and talking about the worst. She's saying some like stupid. She's saying something. Okay, it just sounds like it's philosophy, but it's just rubbish. Like it's trash. And then I'm like, yeah. People went crazy.
Well,
People have gone stir crazy.
if you watch the in Australia, there's a show known as Gruen. Okay.
Ruin.
And
Okay.
Gruen, yeah. And what they do is they basically have a panel of guests and regulars, and a stand-up comedian in the middle of it. Will Anderson, he's a great Australian comedian, and he comes on ABC. And what they do is they take ads, and they show it to you, and they make fun of it. Similar to what we are doing here. in a way,
Okay.
where we look at all this new AI tech that's coming out and kind of like experience it and react to it. People react to it, and they kind of dive deeper into the whole idea of what is advertising, what's the role of advertising. And this year they did an episode like every season finale. This year's season finale was about the worst ads.
Oh no.
The industry has made.
Yeah,
And they
you
focus
shared
on
it with me,
Australian. They focus on Australian products and services and companies. And the main thing you realize after watching those episodes is like, people who are up there who make these ads. Some of them
The
they have a
executives,
focus and they're very mathematical. Executives, agencies, whatnot, whatever the brief is. Okay, when they put out those ads, people who are responsible for those ads and the people who okay it, there are a couple of things happening in that arena. One,
That chain, you mean?
a lot of them do run things by the number. They go like, all right, this is what we need to focus on. That's the product. Bada bing, bada boom, done. Right. And then they put out their ad. It's stock standard ad. People watch it. And there's no way to understand whether it's having any impact or not really having any impact. There's no return on it. You don't know what the return on investment is. With AI, it'll create that return on investment. You'll be able to see that your ad, how the consumer responding to that ad. If a customer walks into a Lego shop or walks into an Apple store or whatever, and there's an ad on screen, there's a camera watching you while you're watching that ad.
Which
It
frames
is
are
actually
happening
looking at
on
how
the
you're
ad as well?
reacting to it.
Yeah.
It's reacting to you at that moment in the ad, how you're feeling about it.
Basically,
Maybe
what's
TV shows in the future.
basically what the AI is going to do is what we're doing right now. AI is going to just record you, watch you, what you're doing while you're watching this AI, and then it's going to give that commentary to the people who are supposed to be looking at the ROI for that ad. Essentially, it's going to be commenting on
the
the
other
situation.
thing. The other thing is that I also saw that the worst ads that they did make they were trying to follow a trend.
Mm.
The trend was that they saw in America or another country, or they've been advised by another agency that this is the hottest shit in the market at the moment, and that's how you should design your ads. This is how your ad should be.
Should look like,
Right?
yeah.
And this shit here
pretty
is
common.
hot, and this is how we need to do it, right? And what they do is they follow that, but they're completely disconnected from the reality of the culture in Australia. These ads,
No,
they're local brands, powerful big brands. Right?
I can vouch for that, because I worked in advertising for 3 years or 4 years, and what I found was that the people who are higher up, like the creative directors and the studio owners and the executives, right, they tend to be completely removed from what the brand's original strength is. Okay, and they try to just chase the next hot thing.
But why do you think that is?
Because that's what the customer comes to them and asks. The customer comes to them and says, okay, we need a hot, spiffy new ad for our product. It has to do this, this, and this. So there'll be like a couple of brief requirements. And then here's the initial investment, I guess the initial payment for the initial resources. And then there's a step process on like how many revisions you get and blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff. And, any media licensing queries and all those things get bundled into that as well. But the problem is that when you take that customer's brief, now the thing about the brief is it's meant to be descriptive, not prescriptive. Okay, so you get the brief from the customer. The brief goes through to the creative director or the person who's in charge of that particular, or whichever executive or director is in charge of that ad. Okay, when it goes to that person interprets it in one way. Then it goes from that person. It's briefed down to like the visual idea of whatever the creative director has in his mind is then briefed down to the rest of the plebs in the studio, right? So the senior designers, the lead designers, the junior designers, all of them. And every single person interprets it on a different level slightly.
Yeah.
The brief. So that's where the creative director, at the end of the day, the creative director has final say on what the ad should look like. They do like a bunch of different ads. So they'll do like 2 or 3 different ads, and then they'll present all those 2 or 3 ads to the customer, and then the customer picks whichever one they like, or they want to go back and redo something. The problem is that during the whole process, because they're so following the process, the message gets lost. What are you trying to actually do in the ad? What was the message that you were trying to intend to show in the ad? What was the branding message that you want to, like the holistic aspect of it just gets thrown out the window because it has to adhere to this brief.
Because the brief is designed around the idea that, okay, we got this product, we want to launch it in June. We want you to make an ad to sell it.
Yeah. The brief is very, very descriptive. It's not prescriptive. So the brief doesn't go into, you must have this, you must have that, this has to be there. It's very like flu. And that and the reason it happens is because when they're drafting the brief with the customer, the people who are drafting the brief, they like to keep things loose so that creativity can flow, right? But then because there's too much creativity flowing, you run a point where it's like, okay, look, we have to make 3 ads and we have to present this in front of the customer on this deadline. We can't just, keep flowing creativity until the end of time. So we have to stick to something. And then, like I said, the whole branding message, the real message behind the brand and everything just gets thrown out the window. Because people then what happens is when you have those kind of tight budgets or tight deadlines, people then tend to start, instead of focusing on brand message, they start to focus on what is hot in the market. Like what is the next hot thing in the market? They'll be like, oh, AI is hot. Okay, fine. Let's just try to incorporate stable diffusion and AI techniques into our ad somehow, without it making sense. Like that Coke ad we saw the other day, right? Where they're using stable diffusion for some scenes, and you're like, why did they use stable diffusion? They could have just... I mean, I know why they're using stable diffusion, because it's a significant cost saving. Rather than going out and hiring a team of people to shoot certain things in that way. Like that pirate section, right? Where the pirates grab it and then they throw it. I think that whole section is stable diffusion. Because it has that weird aesthetic art style kind of thing. Makes sense, It's a cost saving measure. But simply using stable diffusion for the sake of using stable diffusion would have actually resulted in a bad ad. And that Coke ad is not bad, by the way. It's a pretty decent ad. But I'm sure there's like a whole bunch of ads out there that are like really bad because they want to just use AI. Excuse me.
Yeah. So I think that, this thing will continue. I mean, at the moment, the other thing is the biases that are in humans, they're being transferred
Oh yeah,
into these models,
100%.
and there's no way you can stop it. There's no way you can stop it because human beings are biased, right? And like for example, someone did a test on ChatGPT and did
Oh
some,
dear.
prompting, and I was just reading a news article on that one where they talked about how it's very lefty,
Yeah,
and it also has a
yeah,
bias when it comes to religion as well. Like when you
yeah.
try to ask, like, certain religions have had a violent past. What do you think about it? And it'll say, oh, this is against our thing. We can't talk about it. I mean, it'll try to basically just say that,
Yeah.
it'll give you a due diligent, non-compliant kind of a message.
Yeah.
You just check it out, people. Just go to ChatGPT, ask a question. That, oh, this and this religion is violent. Do you agree with it, or can you tell us a bit about the history of this violent religion? Just name call a religion violent, and you see how it reacts, right? And there's a reason why ChatGPT is set at 2018. All the data that's fed into it is 2008, prior to 2008. Number one, they don't want you to ask it questions about COVID. It doesn't want you to ask any controversial questions about the elections. A lot of things that are there. I mean, imagine, if your chat GPT was modeled up to date to what it is
Oh,
today.
bro.
You could ask about a certain politician and their bad habits, and what is the likelihood of who's going to win and whose policies were good or not good. So it could be dangerous in that way, where people start
Dangerous
believing
to
that
the elite,
whatever the
not to
model is
us.
saying is good. It could be dangerous to elite, but at the same time, if the model is biased, then it's also dangerous to the consumer as well. So now
Yeah,
it's telling the consumer things that they that are not true
yeah,
because it's based on some certain biased data.
yeah. Like further on that whole bias data that you're talking about, like when we were doing our shenanigans with like stable diffusion, right? You will know. You must have noticed this, and I definitely noticed this. It's a lot easier to create East Asian looking characters than it is to create Indian looking characters in
Yeah,
stable
Indian,
diffusion.
or even in some
Indian,
cases,
African,
Western characters,
Southeast
Caucasian
Asian,
characters.
Western also.
Yeah.
Western is still okay. You can still get by.
If you create an African ethnic, oriented character, even that also has Asian features, facial
Yeah,
features.
it has a lot of Asian.
Yeah.
And I was really surprised. I was like, that is a really weird look. Like, it
Because
was like,
data that's
imagine
been
if.
fed into it is all based on
Exactly. So it's
Asian
like you said,
artwork.
it's heavily
Yeah.
biased. It's been trained
Anime
in a
artwork.
biased way by a certain group of people. And by the way, in the most of the
Yeah, but
stable
how do you
diffusion,
get out of bias? How
you
how
have
do you not be
the only way to
biased?
get out of
You can't
bias is
be.
to have more training, more points of training, more points of training. You need a lot more training to happen, and
Yeah,
that's
but
not
that's a
going to
problem,
happen.
right? The people, that's not going to happen though. Correct. And look, no matter how much you think that you're being unbiased, you will end up being biased
Oh yeah,
because the
100%.
data is just missing as well.
Yeah,
Data is missing as well. If there's no data for that group that should be included, or those set of studies, or that set of important bits that should complete this main model, if it's not there, bias inherently comes in.
yeah. Bias is no, because generally human beings, they most decisions that human beings make, they make it on gut reaction. They may make it on their gut telling them how to react to this. Because I'll give you a simple example. You standing in front of a shop, right, that you have never been to before. Let's say it's a salad bar. For me, in my case, it's a salad bar. I don't go to salad bars that much, okay, at all basically. But if I go in front of a salad bar and I look at like the menu, and everything on the menu has more salad in it than it has meat, which is a blasphemy in my opinion because I love meat, okay. Um, and then the guy is like sitting there and asking me, "Hey, mate, what do you want to order?" and I have to go. I don't know, like, because all these other food. This is the food that my food eats, so I have no idea like how
Correct.
nutritious it'll be for me, how great it'll be for me. I have no clue.
Yeah.
So what I have to do is I have to go and
Rabbit
I have to
food.
look at. I have to look at which one now here, because I am now missing all that data about like what the vegetables do to me. I'm now going to go into my bias. I'm going to tap into my bias of, okay, which is the bowl that looks like it has the most amount of meat.
Steak and eggs.
There's no steak and eggs. It's a salad bar. Okay. So I have to look at, okay, even if there's a bowl that has the least amount of meat, even if it's like the crappiest kind of protein, which is chicken or like chicken thigh or something. It's the crappiest type. It's not the best kind of protein. Or even if it has soy protein, because I know soy has some protein in it. If I see something like that on the menu, I will instinctively just go for that, regardless of like how good the other meals taste. But just because my inherent bias is geared heavily towards meat and protein, I would just go like, yeah, give me that. Even though it tastes like, maybe when I get it, it'll taste like ass. And when I taste it, I'll be like, man, that was terrible. I'm never going back to salad again. I'm going back to my protein. I'll go get my steak and eggs and, and beef rashers and
I mean, even
sausages.
with inflation, the other thing that is happening because of inflation is that, good food like meat, high protein, high fat content is dropping. Now it's and carbs are increasing.
Yeah.
Went to a Turkish kebab shop, Turkish restaurant, and
Bro,
ordered a
they
plate
adjust really
of
quickly.
Adana kebab. Yeah, they ordered a plate of Adana kebab meal, and there's a basket of bread, Turkish bread. There are two dips. One was yogurt and eggplant, and I think hummus. Whatever.
Baba Ganush.
Then, Baba Ganush, and the plate itself was 50% salad.
Yeah.
And the salad was also not a vegetables kind. It more was just leafy green.
Is that tabuli
stuff
thing?
like,
That thing.
Rocket. No, not even parsley. Just
Rocket?
and
You
lettuce.
serious? Rocket?
Rocket and lettuce
That's tough.
with just a slice of onion, a red onion, and one or two slices of cucumber.
Oh, that is tough.
Then the right side was all filled with a bed of rice, white rice. And on top of the rice, they had two seeks of kebab. That's it.
Oof, 2 skewers, that's it.
Mincemeat skewers. Yeah, just been cut up and put on top of it.
How much was that?
That was it, and that was like $25 or something like that.
Bro,
I
Afghan
could
kebab,
actually
right?
go and get. I can go get a set of porterhouse, get like
Steaks for that. You can get 1 kilo
get a
of porterhouse steak.
Yeah. For $25, I can
20
get porterhouse steak.
So it's $20 if you buy it on wholesale. But the Afghan master kebab, right? Bro, they've become so expensive now. It's just
Most of them have become expensive.
Insane.
Most of these places have become expensive.
Yeah.
Most of these restaurants and most of these places. But yeah, Afghan master kebab, bro. I think they used to be good. They're still good.
they're still okay.
I'm not saying used to be good. I think they've always been good, but it's just that they're expensive, man.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them. It's
And they've
inflation.
reduced the size of their plates as well. Before you used to get 4 skewers
That's
on a
what's
plate,
happened
now
to
you get
people.
3.
That's what they've done.
Now you get-
Instead of increasing the price, they've reduced the meal portions.
No,
That's
no.
it. So
Bro,
portion
Afghan
of-
master kebab has gone up in price and reduced meal portion. Dono. They've done both.
Oh, both.
Yeah. So before, a plate of skewers...
I think it happened twice because first they had to increase the price because of COVID, and then
Could
they
be.
realized, hold on a second, we need to increase even further.
So
And
they
can't
reduced
just
it, took
keep
out the meat.
increasing prices, so they reduced the portion size. Yeah.
Could be.
Or
But
either
bro,
way,
it was so
most
expensive to
restaurants are
eat.
doing that.
It was so expensive to eat. Just
Dude,
for a
my
family of
kid,
2, it
right,
cost
we
me like
import-
$70.
We go to those like desi import stores, right? And sometimes you get like from the grocery store. My son, he loves eating chairas. So for the uninitiated, what they are is basically just hard baked,
Biscuits.
soft biscuits.
It's actually a hard-baked
huge
cake
ones.
that becomes a biscuit.
It's a hard baked, yeah. So it's just basically a cake or a loaf of bread that they slice up, and then they put it in the oven so it gets really hard, and they're known as rusks, and you just dip them in milk or tea or whatever and have it. And my son loves it. I got a box. It's imported from Pakistan. Got a box this time, and when I put my hand in to the plastic jar and pulled out the rusks, I realized they've shrunk in size.
They've shrunk in size, yeah.
Price is the same, but they've shrunk in size. It's a classic thing where the peanut butter jar in the middle, they've raised the
thing from the bottom. Yeah.
bit. They raised the bottom. The jar size is the same, more plastic and less peanut butter. That's inflation. So we could talk all day about inflation. I mean, that's a topic on its own. But I think the last one, it's sad what's happening in Hawaii. I wanted to talk about it, but I think that there's enough said already on the internet about it. But I think that I always look at the what if scenarios. I have this habit.
No, let's just quickly recap what actually happened in Hawaii. So in Hawaii,
Go for it.
So in Hawaii, I'll try to explain from what I understand. So in Hawaii, there's a prominent celebrity who lives there. Everybody knows who she is, Oprah Winfrey. And she has a massive mansion and massive grounds. And there was apparently a fire that ravaged pretty much most of the area where she lives in. Or is it is it just that one area?
Maui.
So it's Maui, right?
Maui.
Maui.
It's on the island of
It's on the island of Maui. So there's a fire that somehow started. Nobody knows how. Or do they know how? And they're postulating how. I have no idea. I haven't read the news up to date yet. But there was a fire that started. It got out of control. It became a blaze. And it burned everything except for her house. And I think a few other people as well who were prominent individuals.
The elites, basically.
Elites.
Yeah, prominent, elite, whatever you want to call it. Their houses, people get the picture.
Yeah.
Nothing happened to them.
Yeah, nothing happened to them. So there's a lot of question, and there's this new update. The last update I saw was that the fire department sergeant, the person who was in charge of the fire department, the one who calls the siren to emergency, they refused to actually sound the siren for some reason. Nobody knows why.
And
there's
the
a lot
fire
of
is
stuff happening.
In the beginning, when the fire started, and I started looking into it, like the next day or 2 days later, when it caught my attention, because in Australia we hardly talk about what's happening overseas.
Yeah.
And when it became prominent news, I realized that I thought, it must be one of those forest fires, it's season, but no, it was actually electrical. The electrical grid basically gave out, and one of the electric wires basically tumbled over something. The electrical grid basically has not been updated. The infrastructure hasn't been upgraded for a while, and what the company Hawaii Electric is saying, the reason that it was not done after repeated warnings about it was that they were planning for renewable energy. So they said, there's no point upgrading in the current infrastructure. Let's just plan for renewable. And the infrastructure failed. And look, in developing countries or third world countries, if you want to say, it's a very common occurrence of transformers failing. The entire cities going out of electricity. It's happened in India. It's happened in Pakistan. It's happened in a lot of countries. And what happened here is that I always look at the what if scenario. First of all, that block of land, that everything that got burnt, apparently there are not rumors, there are statements being made that the government is going to buy it, and the government already had ambitions to make a smart city, and they announced that they would be making it into a smart city like a couple of years ago, and they had ambitions of owning all the land in the future. Like the government wanted to do things like where they own entire estates, entire islands, and they just give it out to people, give it out to citizens so they can live on it, and in the future you'll not own anything and be happy. Kind of a scenario is taking place here, and a lot of people are saying, it's conspiracy or whatever, but there's strong statements that are made by the government to do that. It's part of their policy. If you go on the internet and you read into their policy, their vision for what Hawaii should be or these areas need to become is that, right? And now for some it's for some pure coincidental reason that this opportunity has fallen into their lap. Everything just worked out exactly how they wanted it to be. It sounds very conspiratorial, but coming back to it, I think the what if scenario is that there's all this tech that we can use, and it's not even that expensive using AI, where you can monitor the grid. There are companies on the stock market who have actually created software, smart software, AI software that actually looks at load management. It looks
smart
at
grading.
alert systems. It looks at smart grids. All that stuff exists. We have the tech.
No,
to
but
basically
like you said,
this thing was stoppable. This thing was
it was
stoppable.
preventable.
It
Yeah.
should not have happened to begin with.
Yeah.
Complete preventable and stoppable. And they did not stop it either from spreading. Right? Water stopped working. There was no water. An island surrounded.
The other thing was
island
when I
surrounded
first
by water.
the other thing when I first heard the news, I was like, okay, I was like,
A lot of children died as well. That.
Yeah, a lot of people died. Yeah, but the thing with me was, you are used to, like, at least I was living in Australia, we're used to the whole Australian wildfire season, right? Because that thing gets insane. It goes nuts because of the heat. Okay, it goes absolutely crazy. We have dense bush. We have a dense bush. As in, we have a very, very, very thick and heavy sort of forest area. We don't have much forest, but the forest area we have is very dense and it's very heavy, because kangaroos and those kind of wildlife that go into those dense forests, they live in that area. And when fires happen, they are really bad. They are like super, super bad. They are absolutely horrific. So when I heard Maui fire, I was like, oh, it's an island. How bad can the fire be? But then when I started seeing the images,
that's why I thought it was a wildfire.
I was like, oh my god, it is so bad. People died, and the alarm system was actually not working, or they decided not to run it or something like that. So they couldn't even tell the people that, hey, the fire is coming, escape, or go away, or
people
evacuate.
Could not escape the fire. They could not drive fast enough to get out of. The fire was
because the alarm system was not sounded off at the right time. It wasn't sounded off at all. I think there was no like sirens, nothing. Like you said, this could have been avoided. It was basically just, I don't know what it is. That's the thing. It's like so many different points of data are coming in. Some people are saying it's the government. Some people are saying, well, you know what, it's a conspiracy that the land that Oprah Winfrey wanted to buy and like all these other elite people wanted to buy, it was in the control of like some of the locals who owned land there and who didn't want to sell up. And this whole fire thing is just a way for them to lose, become destitute, so that they will sell up. And
the other thing is, I think there's not enough road. The road network is not that big either. It's an island, and the road network is not that big. And
to be honest,
it's hard to get away from from the fire.
But to be honest, you don't go to an island to be part of a road network, right? People, if you go to an island, you try to go there for the scenery, for the picturesqueness, and for being just away from the city. But the infrastructure, I would have imagined that, hey, it's Hawaii. They are like a tourist destination spot. They would have like all those infrastructure pieces, and the elites live over there. They would have all that infrastructure in spot. Bro, I still think, okay, look, you have major elites living on your island, and you have poor infrastructure. That doesn't make sense to me. That absolutely makes no sense to me. There's something going on.
Dude, I've seen videos of people. I've seen videos where they've flown a helicopter across the coast, and there's all these houses that are completely untouched, and everything else is like gone. It's gone to shit, right? So I don't know.
Bro, I'm telling you, 10 years from now, there's going to be a Netflix documentary that goes deep into this thing, and it's going to completely open the doors to everything,
Yeah, but the problem is that we need that conversation to happen now. If it's happening 10 years from now, it's bullshit.
Nobody cares.
It's not going to do anything. All it's going to do is make Netflix money. That's all. That's all. It just increases the subscriber count. It's sad. It's really sad.
It's really sad.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things happening around the world. I mean, if you think about, if we started covering all of that, this podcast would just turn into
but from a technical perspective, like you said, it was just, if let's say, if the reason that they're giving, which is the electrical grid or the electrical pole went down and stuff, so it's a technical malfunction, right? It could have been easily avoided. Technical malfunction.
Well, 4 years ago, they knew that there was a malfunction in place, and the authorities were told about it, but they did nothing.
4 years.
So
4 freaking
I was
years.
listening to
Serious.
there's a whole article on the Wall Street Journal about it, and Michael Schellenberger, people should follow him. He's on Twitter. He wrote a lot of great books.
Far out, 4 years.
I mean, good, decent books, about the climate change fiasco and all these things that are happening where the data is not clear and people are just jumping on and creating biased views about it. Climate change is happening, but its impact has been completely not
Misrepresented.
been covered. Yeah, it's misrepresented or misjudged as well. So some people just look at it the wrong way. And there's all these articles that are coming out now, and it's just causing more confusion. So I mean, I've looked into it, and at the moment, I think
It's
you
too
need to
new.
study it from an aftermath perspective. It's too new to comment about what really happened. But there's definitely a lot of articles that are highlighting that somewhere in the chain, the authorities have dropped the ball.
Yeah, the duty of care was
And that is
basically
what's
gone.
happened. And this whole and the whole conspiracy about the elites. I mean, you gotta understand, elite, their houses are on the fucking shorefront. It's on they're on the beaches.
They're on the side that is facing away from the wind. It's going away from the wind. I think
And
that's
the other thing is also that they are blocked off. They're cordoned off by a small canal, water canal, and
So the fire just stopped
houses are
there.
all on that side. Yeah, there are a lot of houses on the beachfront property that have burned down. Mansions have gone down. The other thing is also this, right? When you buy a huge property, your backyards are much more bigger. Right? At the moment, if you're living in a shoebox, you're living on all those units and apartment blocks or whatever, the buildings are like this close to each other.
Yeah. So if
the
fire
spreading
comes in
from
one, it'll
house to
grab the
another
other.
Correct. Now, when you have a huge property, your mansion is in the middle of this 1,000, square feet or 5,000 square feet, let's say, block of land, and your property is just like only covering 40% of that, estate. So what is happening is you're surrounded by, just, normal, grass turf or just normal, empty land. Nothing has been
Empty
built
patch
on
of
it,
land, yeah.
right? Empty patch of land, and your house is right in the middle of it. So you being impacted by all these other this wildfire spreading to you is
Highly
very
unlikely.
low. And it's easy for you to prevent it as well.
But they say even her
from spreading
grounds
to
were
your
not
house.
affected. They say even the grounds of the elite were absolutely not affected. They remained unaffected. I don't know how
Because
much
they might
truth there
have
is
a
to all
road.
this.
They might have a road. No, there are videos you can watch. People have actually, the news helicopters have actually traveled and recorded the coast, and you can see everything else is burnt or burned down. But thing is, there are road networks as well. There's a whole highway that's running beside that coast, and there's a main road running, and the houses are on the other side. So if houses that are in that neighborhood where they're spreading from one house to another. So I think there's a bit of bias there as well. So I mean, it needs to look further into it. I mean, as I think the time progresses in the coming weeks, we'll find out more information. But definitely, duty of care has not taken place, and the authority now is just going to finger point at someone. They might fire the governor, or they might fire the mayor of the town or whatever, and they'd just be done with it. It's all going to be swept under the carpet. I mean, that's how usually these things go.
Yeah.
You know.
Sad. It's pretty sad.
So,
all right, bro. I think
anything
that's it
else
for
to share,
today.
bro?
No, I think that's all for today. Let's just end on that note. It's a sad note to end on. But hopefully we'll be back again soon with better stuff. And
more things to share. There's a lot of things happening this week.
lot of things
so I
happen
think
every
we'll
single
probably
day.
cover it in the next one. There's a James Dean. I think.
the James. You want to talk about that? Okay, cool. So
News
James
article
Dean.
that came out. Yeah.
So no, go for it.
Yeah, go for it. What
You
about
want
the
me to go
James
for it?
Dean
Okay.
thing? I'll let
So
you talk
James
about it.
Dean, apparently, there's a movie studio that has announced that James Dean is going to be starring in their movie, which is as a deep fake. So he's going to be an AI generated deep fake, and he's going to be in the movie because and James Dean, for those who don't know, he's quite he was an actor who died in I think in 1950 55 or 56 or something. He died in a car accident, and he had only done 4 movies up until that point. So he was only in 4 movies, but
He was
in
an
those
absolute
4 movies,
alpha male, like, this modern anti-hero kind of a
yeah. But
good-looking
even
actor.
just in those 4 movies, he created an impact that basically just
Yeah.
went all across the ages to across Hollywood, everywhere. And they just love Hollywood. Just loves James Dean. Hollywood and in general, most Western people who are in Western culture, they love James Dean. And a company known as I think it's called Worldwide XR. Okay, Worldwide XR. They have negotiated deals with his estate. So James Dean's is like, I think people who like have known him or people who are part of his family or his family, I don't know what exactly how they did it, but they've negotiated some kind of an agreement where they have a huge number of photographs of James Dean. They have a lot of recordings of James Dean. They have the movies, of course, so that's like good reference points. So they can generate his facial likeness and they can generate his vocal likeness as well. So his speech patterns. And they are going to use them in a movie. So he'll be what is known as a 2D, what they call a passive 2D portrayal, which means James Dean is going to be I think within the movie, he's going to be something that is going to be on a screen, on a cinema screen, or in the movie, on the background or something. So he's not the main character. Don't think of this as the main character.
But he'll be there for a couple of seconds.
But he's going to be there
once
for
in a while. Hollywood.
Yeah.
That movie had Bruce Lee in it.
Yeah, that movie had
Someone
Bruce Lee in
playing
it.
Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
So imagine you replace that with an AI actor.
Yeah. So it was another Asian person who looked like Bruce Lee playing Bruce Lee. But now imagine if you were
Right.
able to deep fake Bruce Lee into the movie,
Right.
So I think that's what's happening. And the way this company does is, this company, Worldwide XR, they're actually kind of one of the pioneers in trying to make sure that dead actors or actors who have passed away or actors who are about to pass away have all their likenesses and all their vocal patterns and all that kind of stuff. They have it legitimately contractually like made properly, and then their estates or their children are the ones who benefit from the use of their likeness.
Interesting, because I think in Bollywood and all the big movie industries, like, you got the Chinese, you got the
Yeah.
Bollywood,
Yeah.
you got your French cinema, you got the English and obviously the Western cinema there. Likeness, I think, will be huge, especially I think even in India. I mean, trying to replicate a star who's dead and bring their likeness back
Yeah,
into
of
the
course, man.
cinemas.
Imagine bringing back Anupam Kher for like a freaking villain movie. I would go watch that movie. I'd be like, Anupam Kher is fake. I'll be like, no worries, mate. I'll still go and see it. Like, no problem.
Yeah,
He's
Amrish
my
Puri.
man.
Yeah, Amrish Puri. You bring back Amrish Puri, I'll go watch it.
Anupam Kher. Anupam Kher is alive. Sorry, Amrish Puri. That's the guy. Sorry,
Amrish Puri. I
Anupam
think
Kher
that's
is
what
still
you
alive.
meant. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Amrish Puri. If they bring him back as Mogembo or some other villain type, that he played,
Yeah,
I'll
I
be
know.
like, bro, I'm there. I don't care if
I was
it's
about
like
to say that. Like, imagine you made another movie and you bring him back as Mogambo or a younger Mogambo or something, or
oh, bro.
pre-Mr. India. Yeah,
Bro,
Why they
and
never
for
made
both
a sequel,
for people
man? They
for
never
for
made a
people
sequel. Like,
for people for people in our audience, for the 3 people who are watching, if one of you is non-Indian background or non-Pakistani background, there's an Indian movie called Mr. India.
Mr.
Okay,
India.
the villain in that is all levels of James Bond, like James Bond level of craziness.
Villainy.
This guy Amrish Puri, he was the villain in James Bond's Octopussy. I think he was the villain, right?
No, he was
No,
in
not
Temple of
wrong.
Doom, Indiana
Temple
Jones.
of Doom. There you go. No, Temple of Doom.
Kabir Bedi was an octopus.
Kabir Bedi was an Octopussy. Yes, he was in Temple of Doom. So Amrish Puri is in Temple of Doom. He's the guy who goes Kali Ma. That's the guy. So he's dead. But if they bring him back using AI in another movie as a villain, I'll be the first person in line to watch that guy again. No problem. I love that guy, man. That guy was like the quintessential part of like your childhood, as a villain. He was the villain in every second or third movie you saw. Like, no doubt about it. From the most trash
and
movies.
he was a very versatile actor as well.
Oh, he was a great actor. I mean, he played the father's role in arguably the best Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge, in like the best Indian movie ever made, right? So, which is, by the way, they're still showing it in cinemas all these years later. So, it is like that guy played the father role and he played it perfectly. He was like the perfect villain slash father slash softy, everything. He was like the perfect guy to play that role. Anyway, so there you go. James Dean's Worldwide XR is actually kind of pushing forward with this kind of, I would say.
Let's see how real can they make it look like.
Yeah, I'm hoping they can do a better job than what they did in Star Wars.
Because they've done that in Star Wars where they've done that in Star Wars where they created all these CGI.
No, but Star Wars they use CGI. That was the problem. In this one, it's a deep fake, so it's not a CGI. It's literally them scanning the face of the guy. Like, how they create Stable Diffusion models, right? It's that.
Like those Tom Cruise ones.
Like the Tom Cruise ones, exactly. That one. The more convincing version, basically.
Yeah, man. They're really convincing. Far out, man.
Yeah.
We need to talk further about these deep fakes that are going to emerge. There's going to be official fakes. And there's going to be obviously non-official fakes. Community-based fakes.
Yeah.
So looking forward to more of that. And on that note, I think...
we should just close it off here.
Talk next week. Cheers, bro.
Next week. Cheers, bye.
See you, man.
All right. Bye. See ya.